I decided to build a Chrome extension that summarizes any web page in one click. Because honestly, I'm tired of reading 5,000 words just to find the one sentence that matters. If you missed the first video, this is what the extension does. You open an article expecting a quick answer, and instead it's a full-blown nowhere. This AI tool grabs the full page content, sends it to OpenAI or Gemini, and gives you just the key takeaways in seconds. So I started coding it line by line, just like I've always done. But after a while, I was like, screw it. Let's see if AI can just build the whole thing. And it did. Icons, manifests, scripts, everything. So I tried to run it. And it crashed instantly. Turns out the icons AI gave me were either corrupt, empty, or just straight up didn't exist. So I did anyone would do. I asked AI to fix it. And that was just the beginning. I tried again and again, and finally it started coding an entire graphics engine. All that just to draw a blue square. So I gave up. I just downloaded the icons myself in a few seconds. After the icon disaster, I stopped letting AI write the whole thing, and I decided to build it properly myself. Now let me walk you through how it's actually built. Just a few files working together. This is what you see when you click the extension icon. It's the little pop-up that shows the button and where the summary appears. This is the brain of the pop-up. It handles button clicks, switches between OpenAI and Gemini, injects the script into the page, grabs the text, sends it to AI, and shows the result right there in this box. This runs inside the web page you're visiting. It grabs the main text content, not the ads, not the menus, just the actual page text. That's where you enter your API keys and choose which AI model you want to use. It remembers your settings using Chrome's sync storage. And finally, manifest. It's the config file Chrome reads to know what your extension is, what scripts it uses, what pages it can access, and what permissions it needs. That's the big picture. Now let me walk you through what happens when you click the extension icon. This file here, popup.html, is what actually shows up in that little window. It's just basic HTML, a title, a few buttons to switch between OpenAI and Gemini, a box where your summary will show up, and the main Summarize page button. There's also a copy button, a settings button, and a little character count at the bottom. Nothing fancy. Now this file, popup.js, is where the action happens. It all starts when the pop-up loads. As soon as the HTML is ready, we run this entire function. I grab all the important elements from the HTML. The Summarize button, the loading spinner, the model switch buttons, the status message, and so on. These are just DOM elements that we will use throughout. I set OpenAI as the default model. You can switch between OpenAI and Gemini later, but this is what it starts with. This just sets the character counter at 0 when you first open the pop-up. Otherwise, you'd see nothing. These two listeners let the user switch between OpenAI and Gemini. When you click either one, it triggers a function called switch model. And this one loads the saved settings from storage, like your API keys and default model. Without this, nothing works. Now, this is the core interaction. When you click Summarize page, this whole function runs. First, it checks if we can even access the current tab. If you are on a weird page like Chrome extensions, it won't work. Then it injects a content script into the page you're viewing. If that works, it grabs the full text content from the page. And finally, it sends that text to the AI summarizer function, which we will get to in a second. This part lets you copy the generated summary. It tries to copy it with formatting, but if that fails, it falls back to plain text. This just opens the setting page so users can input their API keys. And these are small helpers. Set loading toggles the spinner and button state. Update char count just updates the character count text. This one checks if your API key exists for the selected model, OpenAI or Gemini. If it's missing, it shows a warning. This is where we actually call the AI model. Based on the selected model, we either hit OpenAI or Gemini, send it the text, and wait for a summary. Each one hits the respective API. And yes, I had to format the prompt to be very strict. I told the model to return proper semantic HTML. No markdown, no extra spacing. Just clean output. Once the summary is back, I cleaned it up. Convert any markdown to clean HTML, strip out anything weird, and inject it into the popup. I do it because sometimes AI can send us this format even if we ask not to. And this is the logic behind copying the summary. It tries to copy both the formatted HTML and plain text, so you can paste it anywhere nicely. So yeah, it looks like a lot, but every part has a clear job. This script is what powers all the interactions inside that pop-up. Now let's talk about how this extension actually grabs the content from the page you're on. This file right here, content.js, is the guide that jumps inside the website you're viewing. When you click that Summarize button, the script gets injected into the web page. Its job is to read what's actually on the page and pull out just what we need. First, it tries to figure out what part of the page is the main content. It looks for things like main article or anything labeled content or post. Basically the most interesting parts. And then it gets rid of all the junk. You know, menus, ads, sidebars, comments, footers. It makes a clean clone of the content so it doesn't mess up with the actual page and starts slicing out the noise. Then it looks for all the meaningful pieces like paragraphs, headings, list items. And if it can read any structured text, no worries, it goes raw and grabs all visible text it can find. It's like, fine, I'll do it myself. Once it's done cleaning and collecting the content, it sends back a nice readable block of text. That's what we feed into the AI to summarize. And right here, it listens for messages from the pop-up. So when you hit summarize, this kicks off the whole extension process. This little file quietly jumps into whatever page you're on, finds what matters, cleans it up, and gets it ready for AI to do the magic. Alright, let's talk about the settings page, the control center of the extension. This is where the user picks which AI model they want to use and where they paste in their API keys, so the summarizer actually works. At the top, we've got a simple drop-down to choose your default model. Then there's the OpenAI key section. You paste your API key right here, and I even added a little step-by-step guide in case someone's never done it before. Same thing for Google Gemini. Follow the quick how-to steps, paste in your key, done. And when you're ready, hit Save Settings. The extension stores everything locally on your browser, without using any server. Now yeah, I know what you're thinking. Styles are here inside the HTML, even though I already have the styles CSS file. I get it, it's a bit of mix. But hey, this is still kinda my MVP version. Some stuff's gonna get cleaned up later. Right now it works, and that's the goal. Okay, so the HTML gives us the structure. But none of those buttons or inputs would work without the script behind it. That's where settings.js comes in. When the settings page loads, this file kicks in. It listens for the page to fully load using DOM-content loaded, and then it grabs all the important elements. The inputs for your OpenAI and Gemini API keys, the model selector and the save button. Basically, we are telling the script, hey, here are the parts of the form I care about. Let's make them interactive. Next, it checks if you have already saved anything, like your API keys or default model. If yes, it auto-fills those values into the form. When you hit save, it checks if you have entered at least one API key. If you haven't, it shows you a warning. And if your default model is selected and you didn't provide an API key for that, it also reminds you about it. And finally, it saves everything securely in Chrome's sync storage. So next time you open the settings, all your info is right there. It's a small file, but it's doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work to make the extension feel smooth and user-friendly. Okay, now let's talk about the file that basically holds the entire extension together, manifest.json. If this whole project were a movie, this file would be a director. It tells Chrome what your extension is, what it's allowed to do, and what files to load when. At the top, it's got your basic info, the name, version, and a quick description of what it is. Next up, permissions. This is super important. It tells Chrome, hey, I need to read the current page, run scripts, and save stuff. Without this, the extension won't even load. Then we tell Chrome which file to show when you click the extension icon. That's our popup.html. Simple. These lines are for the icons. They make the extension look good in your toolbar and menus. And yes, this gave me a headache earlier. Thanks, AI. And finally, we point to the settings.html file. And that's it. Now let me quickly show you the other pieces that make this extension feel polished. This one is styles.css. It holds all the visual styles for the extension. Right now, some of the styles are still inside settings.html, but this file is where the rest live. And eventually, I will clean it up and centralize everything here. Now these two, the README file and this demo GIF. They are mostly for GitHub. That's where I also put the code for this extension. So if you want to see how it works under the hood, you can dive in. You will find the link in the description. The README just explains what the project is, how to install it, stuff like that. And the GIF? It's a quick little visual how this extension works. And this one here, privacy policy, is required if you want to publish on the Chrome Web Store. It's just a short statement explaining what data the extension touches. Spoiler, it doesn't track anything. It just sends the page content to AI, gets the summary, and that's it. These files aren't part of the logic, but they are part of making your extension feel polished, legit, and public ready. And of course, icons. These show up in the browser toolbar, the extension settings, and everywhere else Chrome needs to represent your extension visually. Without this, Chrome literally won't let you install it. Alright, now that you know what's behind the scenes, let's wrap it up. So here's what I learned from all of this. AI coding is fast, it's powerful. But unless you understand what it's doing, it will bury you in junk. But here's the wild part. What if you barely knew how to code at all and still wanted to build something like this? That's what I'm exploring in the next video, a deep dive into vibe coding. Can you actually build something great just by talking to AI? Or is that just gambling with code? We're gonna find out.